drop us off into the orbit where we'll continue to check out Orion. So you can probably hear it in my voice. It's very exciting just for us in Mission Control. It's been a very exciting mission. As Mike said, there's been a couple of anomalies we've had to work, but overall a very clean mission, and we're really having a good time. Thanks, Sandra.
Thanks so much, Jeff. And next we'll hear from Jim Geffrey, Manager of Orion Vehicle Integration.
Yeah, thank you, Sandra. Wednesday was quite a stunning event for the entire team. It was fantastic performance by the rocket to deliver Orion to space. And it's been a really exciting few days for both the team and the spacecraft as we learn how the system operates in the deep space environment. It's a good reminder that this is the first time in 50 years that a human exploration spacecraft has left low Earth orbit and been sent to the moon. As Mike said, Orion's been performing great so far. All the systems are exceeding expectations from a performance standpoint, and we have full mission functionality with the upcoming outbound powered flyby burn. The team's been able to gather a lot of great data to learn how those systems are performing in space. No ground test is a perfect representation of flying in the real environment. And so we've been able to collect this data, use it to update our models, understand how the system is trending, and make decisions for our upcoming mission events. As Jeff said, we have the big burn coming up on early Monday morning, but before we do that, I wanted to share a couple of additional videos of how the system's performed on the way to the moon. I believe the first video we'll show is the separation of Orion from the interim cryo propulsion stage. Once the ICPS finished its job and sent us on through the TLI, Orion fired its pyrotechnic frangible nuts and separated from the ICPS. You can see in this video as we slowly drift away from the ICPS and head off to the moon.
Oh, that's cool.
On the next video, we'll see how the solar arrays have been articulating during the deployment event. There's 4 different solar arrays on board Orion. Each are about 4 meters long. And one of the things we've already learned from the mission is that we're collecting more power than we expected. Altogether, we have over 13 kilowatts of power that can power the equipment on board. The deployment went great, and as you saw earlier, we were able to put those into position for the TLI burn. Other systems have also been performing fantastically. We've had better than expected heat rejection. We're using less power than anticipated. So all these things are giving us good confidence in being able to move forward with the mission and also expand our capabilities as we go forward. So with that, I'll hand it back to Sandra.
Thank you, and thanks to our briefers for those initial remarks. So as a reminder, we will be taking questions on our phone bridge as well as from any media here in the room. So if you are on the phone bridge, press *1 to submit your question and add it to the queue. And once your name is called, please state your name, affiliation, and to whom you'd like to direct your question to be answered. And if you do find that your question has already been answered, you can press *2 to withdraw it. So let's get started on our phone bridge. We do have several questions coming in already. And our first question comes from Marcia Dunn with the Associated Press.
Oh, hello. My question is probably for Jeff. How long will you be without communication when you're doing that burn on the backside of the moon? How stressful, tense do you expect it to be before you get the data? And is there much wiggle room in case the burn doesn't go exactly right? What happens then?
Well, I'll start with the stress piece. I'm sure we'll all be waiting as intently as we can, looking for the data to come back. It'll be about 34 minutes that we won't have comm with the vehicle, and so I'm sure we'll all take a little break and then come and sit and wait for the data to come back. This is absolutely a critical burn. It's one that Orion has to perform. But of course, it's got the OMS engine, which is the primary way of doing the burn, as well as additional auxiliary engines, such that if we have an issue with the OMS engine, the auxiliary engines will pick up and complete the burn. And we designate it as critical, which is why we configure the software to ensure that that burn happens. And there's a couple of those in the mission that we have. The vehicle's going to do a great job, and it's going to burn that burn, and we're counting on it to do so.
Great, and it looks like we do have a question here in the room.
I'm not sure who this is for, but are you getting any data back from the mannequins that would tell you what the ride would be like for humans?
In terms of in the course of the mission, the short answer is no. All that is recorded on board, correct, Jeff?
Yeah, that's correct, Mike. So we have several radiation experiments on board. We have been able to collect some data from a few of those, but with respect to the mannequins, that data is being collected and will be analyzed after the mission.
I know we're not going to get a lot of video Monday, or will we? And if so, when would we get it? I mean, are you expecting any video from the close approach?
As you've already seen, we have cameras on board, a number of cameras, including on the tips of the solar arrays. And so after the conclusion of the outbound powered flyby, once we reacquire comm with Earth, we are expecting to provide some good imagery.
We all can't wait to see that. Okay, next up is Robert Perlman with Collect Space.
A question for Jeff and a quick one for Mike. You mentioned that the burn's going to occur on the far side of the moon. Do you know what notable craters or how we could orient where Orion's going to be in relation to passing over the moon at that point? And then for Mike, since you mentioned it, it's been the number one question we've gotten from our readers. You mentioned you saw Snoopy. When can we see Snoopy?
You want to go ahead, Jeff?
Sure, I'll take the first part. So we will be passing over, some of the Apollo landing sites. Unfortunately, I don't have the craters off the top of my head, since every launch date has its own different spot that we would be doing the powered flyby. So I can't reference those to you, but I do know we'll be going over the Apollo 11, 12, and 14 sites or close to them. Unfortunately, they're going to be in the darkness. They will not be sunlit, so we won't get very good video of them. But we'll definitely be close to history when we do the powered flyby.
Yeah, and Robert, thank you for your question. Certainly, the partnership with the Schultz Foundation and their commitment to NASA is part of our flight safety program is something that we cherish, and having Snoopy on board the Orion spacecraft to the moon again is something that is exciting for all of us. As far as when the Snoopy sighting will occur, I would say in the next day or two. I don't have an exact time for the acquisition of Snoopy signal, so we'll just have to wait and see when the images are released. But it's not far off.
Our next question comes from Joey Roulette with Reuters.
Nice. Acquisition of Snoopy.
I just had a quick question for Mike Serafin or anyone else who wants to answer. Back just before liftoff on Wednesday, you guys announced that there was kind of a new risk with the RTV delamination issue and involving like a sensor coming loose and becoming debris. And I was going to ask this on the last press conference, but when did you guys discover that risk? Were you aware of it Monday during the launch rationale briefing, or did you guys not know about it and actually just discover it before liftoff? Thanks.
There you go, Dish.
Joey, thank you for the question. We knew about the RTV delamination due to the hurricane pretty much the day after when we did a walk down and a pad inspection. It took the team a little bit of time to do the full just assessment of the vehicle. And that was one of the findings that came back.
RTV chat.
And we went into a debris transport and just kind of acknowledged that there was a risk there. And relative to the launch attempt, when the risk was brought forward, it was clear that we needed a little extra time to develop that flight rationale, which is why we met on launch minus 1 day to understand the risk, have it characterized relative to other known risk, and so the story, was it was a first story the day after the storm passed, and we did our pad inspection, and then we knew that there was an issue out there that needed to be worked. It took a couple of days. It basically took the weekend for us to work, and then when we initially heard the flight rationale, we decided we needed a little more time to develop that. So I hope that answers your question.
Our next question is from Kristen Fisher with CNN.
Hi, thanks everyone, and congratulations so far on a successful mission. My question, since I'm kind of representing the TV side of things here, I'm hoping somebody can go into a bit more detail about what we can expect with this closed flyby on Monday morning. You say that the video is going to be delayed. Can we get a more approximate time frame as to how long it's going to be until we're going to actually get to see this video? What sort of quality is the video going to be? And finally, can you just kind of explain why we're not getting to see these images live? I mean, I believe the Apollo 11 landing was broadcast live. Why now don't we have the technology to see all of this live? And pardon my ignorance there. Thank you.
Good question.
Sure, happy to talk through it. So there is video that comes down from the spacecraft that we get here live in MCC that we were able to see coming directly off the video. And you know, some of the videos that we've shown previously in this briefing, those came down live and we saw them as they were happening, and they were a lot of fun to watch. Specifically related to the outbound powered flyby, since it occurs on the other side of the moon, we've actually got the moon between the spacecraft and the ground stations that pick up the video. So we're going to record it while the Orion's out of the line of sight of the ground stations that bring the video down. Once we have that recorded on board, when we reacquire signal, when Orion comes out from behind the moon, we're going to downlink that video as fast as we can. Unfortunately, given the distance that Orion is and the fact that we do have some fairly high quality video, it's going to take a little bit of time. You know, for those of us that remember the days of dialing into the internet on modems, it's going to be a little slower than we might have want. But as soon as we get the data down, I'm sure our video processing folks will be processing that so that we can get it out to everybody that wants to see it. Because of course we want to see it in mission control and we want to share it with the public and get it to you folks as fast as we can.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Chris Davenport with The Washington Post.
Hi, thanks so much. I think this first one is for Jeff. I'm just sort of curious about the speed of the vehicle. Obviously, it's been slowing down the closer it gets to the moon. What will its velocity be, you know, sort of right before you do this burn? What will it be? What will its peak velocity be after the burn as it enters into the orbit? And then once it's in that distant retrograde orbit, is the velocity constant? And then for Mike, just real quick, there was some talk or concern that maybe there was some damage to the pad or the mobile launcher after liftoff. I'm just wondering if that's accurate, and if it is, what was the extent of the damage? Thanks so much.
Ow. That
I think
hurt.
Jim's going to take that one.
Yeah, thank you for the question. First, with respect to Orion's speed at the time of the OPF, be about 1.5 kilometers per second relative to the Earth. Apologize for the metric units, so we'll have to do a conversion there for you. But as Jeff said earlier, it'll be a 2.5 minute burn, 2.5 minutes.
A second is 1 mile
In
a
that,
second.
we use about 2,900 pounds of Orion's initial propellant load. That's about 20% of the total load that we start the mission with. So relatively short burn, but it is one of the 4 big ones that we perform as part of the mission.
Yeah, and Chris, and thank you for your question as well on the pad. The team is currently working through the pad post-launch inspections. There are a number of hazards out there that they're working through. We did anticipate some amount of damage, and they are finding some amount of damage. You know, again, the vehicle produced 8.8 million pounds of thrust at liftoff. We did, for the very first time with a rocket of this class with solids, have a ignition overpressure and sound suppression system in place. So, you know, if you recall watching right at that initial, the final seconds before liftoff, there was a huge amount of water that came from that water tower that sits within the pad perimeter, and all that water came out of that tower, went down the pipe, across, and up onto through some piping into the surface of the mobile launcher, and that was purposefully there to dampen the acoustic shock as the rocket lifted off, because that can come down and bounce back up towards the rocket. So that water was there to dampen the acoustic shock, to largely protect the rocket. We couldn't put water everywhere on the mobile launch tower. The umbilicals did fine. The structure itself did fine, but we are finding some damage. for me, the most impressive photo that I've seen from damage was the blast doors on the elevators were removed through the pressure wave of the rocket, and they're having to restore that functionality with the elevators. So there are a number of findings. And because of the inconvenience, now we don't have elevators functioning at the mobile launcher, and it is a very tall structure. Folks are having to walk up and down it, and it's taking a little extra time to get through it. But that said, the mobile launcher itself performed well. We just are having to work our way through some of the damage assessments, and it's taking us a little longer.
That's awesome, Vulcan.
Thank you both. Our next question will be from Marcia Smith with spacepolicyonline.com.
I've touched that elevator door, man.
I think this question is probably for Jeff. I'm wondering, how many burns are there altogether of the arms and of the auxiliary engines? And separately, perhaps for Jeff or for Mike, where did the core stage come down? And did you get any visual sightings of it?
Good question.
So I'll talk about the four major burns that we have on Artemis I. Of course, we've been talking about the outbound powered flyby as well as the distant retrograde insertion.
Yeah.
After we do a half a loop in the distant retrograde orbit, we'll then do a distant retrograde departure, and then we'll do a return powered flyby. And so those are really the four major burns that we use the OMS engine for to get Orion into orbit around the moon and then to bring it home after we complete the half rev there. We do have some smaller correction burns. I think there's 12 or so of those that we do, but they're much smaller. We use the attitude maneuvering jets. So you can really think of it as four major burns for the entirety of Artemis I on Orion.
And Marcia, again, thank you for your question. In terms of the core stage disposal, if you recall, we inserted the insertion altitude was a 975 by 16 nautical mile insertion altitude. We do have to loft the orbit with the Block 1 of the Space Launch System, which we will have an upgrade with what we'll call Block 1B with the enhanced upper stage starting with Artemis 4, where we don't have to loft. But because we have to loft with the interim cryo propulsion stage in order to have enough performance to make our way to the moon, we lowered the perigee to 16 nautical miles, which is going to get Earth capture, and the core stage certainly did that. It came down in the Pacific to the east of Hawaii and to the west of the West Coast, so well away from any human presence, and it safely splashed down in the Pacific Ocean.
Our next question comes from Jeff Faust with Space News.
Hi, question for Mike Seraphin. I'm just curious if after a couple of days you've got any more information on the performance of the SLS, how it compared to what you expected with both the core stage, the boosters, and the ICPS. And then also on the CubeSats beyond Luna HMAP, which CubeSats have you been informed are working properly so far? Thanks.
Yeah, Jeff, thank you for the questions. SLS performance, I have not received an update since we had our quick look on day of launch. You're a day too early for that question. We are going to get a performance outbrief tomorrow on the Space Launch System, the core stage, the boosters, and the interim cryo propulsion stage. But again, all indications were the system performed spot on. And as I said in the post-launch press conference, we came very, very close to the predicted insertion altitude, and then translunar injection was exactly where we had intended. But we should have more information as part of a post-launch assessment and a performance review that we're going to do tomorrow afternoon. In terms of the CubeSats, you wanted to know which others were successful. Argo Moon, which is a partnership with the Italian Space Agency, BioSentinel, which is basically an analog that's flying some yeast to measure radiation. Equilus, which is a partnership with the Japanese Exploration Agency, Luna HMAP, and then I believe Omotenashi, which is another Japanese exploration agency, CubeSat, are on a path to success. The remainder, as we've had reported from our payload partners, either have encountered technical issues post-deploy, or have had intermittent communications, or in one case did not acquire signal with their communication asset that they had planned. So, we're working with our payload partners to the extent we can, but and we're being as transparent as we can here. But if you want to understand more thoroughly what each of the payload customers are seeing, I would reach out to those individually.
Our next question is from Irene Klotz with Aviation Week.
Irene?
Disbanded, but was there any operational changes or any impact to the mission from that? And when was that team called together?
Hey, Irene, we missed the first part of your question. Can you repeat it for us, please?
Sure. Can you hear me all right?
Yep, we got you.
Thanks. Yes, it's for Mike Serafin. The issue with the Star Tracker, when did that occur? And although the anomaly team has completed its work, were there any operational changes or any impact to the mission itself? And I have a follow-up.
Okay, yeah, thank you for the question, Irene. That's a good one. The anomaly resolution team, as it pertains to the Star Trackers, we got together as a team the afternoon of the 16th, which was it was a 5 p.m. call, so some 12-ish hours after launch, and we knew that there was just some anomalous performance in the Star Trackers, and it took the team some time to work through it. And the Orion program, and one gentleman in particular, Ryan Proud, that led that anomaly resolution team, did a fantastic job of researching all the potential causes. And what we determined, it was not the hardware. The hardware was operating exactly as it was designed to. It was actually an environmental situation where the thrusters were being picked up by the Star Tracker, because it was actually thrusting over the field of view of the Star Tracker by design, and the light was hitting the plume, and it was picking it up, and it was having a hard time understanding, was that a star or an object out there that I should track, or maybe there were objects in the field of view when it thought there shouldn't be, because the Star Trackers are programmed to know where the stars are, and it was essentially confusing the Star Tracker, and we continued on both Star Trackers 1 and 2 to get what they call a component not ready flag. So it took us a little bit of time to work through that one. The Star Trackers were gathering data throughout, and it was just one of these episodic things that took some time to resolve. The team correlated it to thruster firings, and it just took a little bit of time to do that. In terms of operational changes, there are no operational changes. We are proceeding, and that was one of the outbrief recommendations today from that anomaly resolution team as we sunset that team, was to consider the Star Trackers operating normally, and to proceed based on that information. And Jim, I don't know if you have anything to add to that. It was under the Orion program.
Yeah. This is one of those examples of being able to learn from flight testing. You can never simulate the combined environment of plumes and Earth shadow or Earth sunlight and refraction of light into Star Trackers perfectly on the ground. But we fly and we find these things. As Mike described, the team pounded flat every possible explanation. We think we understand exactly what's happening. The Star Tracker itself is performing perfectly, We've ingested over 380,000 measurements into the navigation filter. Every one's been accepted without rejection. So we're very confident in moving forward, and we'll proceed with the decision to proceed with the OPF tomorrow.
Thank you.
The question was about the ITAR issue at 39B. What was the situation or the configuration that prevented, I guess, the photographers from going out and picking up remote cameras till today? I guess they were told that there was some ITAR considerations. And then also, I just wanted to make a comment in light of the anomaly resolution team, and it sounds like it was a interesting episode, but that information hasn't been included in any of the updates that were posted so far. And you all talk so much about how important this mission is, and that it's the first human spacecraft in 50 years, and your number 4 of your objectives is public outreach. I would just request that whatever you can do to provide more detailed and more timely status reports of the mission, even if things are not all knit together and here's the outcome. It's really important to us to kind of be able to follow along as these things are happening.
Indeed.
Okay, thank you, Irene, and I certainly understand your feedback on the Star Tracker, what I'll call glitch or anomaly. That one was not a high-level concern. It just was one of those what I'll call confusing discrepancies that took us a little bit of time to work through, but I certainly understand the feedback there. And in terms of the ITAR issue, I am not fully up to speed on the issue at pad 39B, but what has been shared with me is that the mobile launcher has flight interfaces on it that are considered export controlled, and not all of those are in a configuration that are ready to be photographed and shared. And there's some amount of work that needs to be done to get those in a configuration. And prior images that have been shared were either shared at a low enough resolution where that was not an issue, or were shared such that the umbilical interfaces were not in a full view, such that they were export or ITAR controlled. So that's my understanding of it. I am not an ITAR expert, but that's what I know on that particular topic, and I understand why you're asking, and I would just ask for your patience as we work through that one.
Thanks, Mike. Our next question comes from James Hillhouse with AmericaSpace.com.
Thank you, guys, for holding this briefing. I have a couple of questions. I guess the first one is, what is Orion's velocity going to be at the equigravisphere, I guess where the Earth and the Moon's gravity are equal? And the other question has to do with the smaller correction burns you mentioned. Are those being done by the auxiliary engines on the ESM or the ESM's reaction control thrusters? Thank you.
I'll take that question. First of all, we don't have the exact velocity at the sphere of influence. We know it's approximately 35,000 miles from the Moon, where Orion will then become under the primary influence of the Moon's gravity, but we don't have that exact figure available to us at this point. I can tell you again that the outbound powered flyby burn, Orion will be traveling at 1.5 kilometers per second relative to the Earth. With respect to the correction burns, we performed 2 of those to date. The first, which we call OTC-1, or Outbound Trajectory Correction 1. This one was done as a checkout of the OMS engine. The big 6,000-pound engine was executed perfectly. The second burn, OTC-2, was small enough that it could be performed by the small reaction control system engines, but we also have auxiliary thrusters on board. And the software makes that determination based on the size of the burn that has to be done. It picks the most efficient engine to use for that. We have 2 more of those coming up, OTC-3 and OTC-4, before we arrive at the Moon.
Great. Our next question comes from Bill Harwood with CBS.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, hi, guys. And first of all, just off the top, I'd just like to say I completely agree with Irene Klotz's observations. The star trackers, I thought the flight rule required 2 operational trackers for a full duration mission. And so, I totally understand it's been resolved. I just would have thought that was a potentially more significant issue, but obviously not. Anyway, Mike, you said hazards at the pad. What does that mean? I'm not looking for a detailed assessment, but does that mean like debris somebody could trip over, a commodities issue, power lines down? Any little details you can share? And for Jeff, you said 70 nautical miles at close approach. I saw something else that it was 70 statute. I just want to make sure I'm doing the right conversion. Thanks.
Do you want to take the mileage thing? I'll take the rest of it.
Sure. So the best information I have is 70 nautical miles. And I think that's really what we do our trajectory planning in. So that's the number I would use. Of course, I'll happy to be double checking with my flight design folks, who I'm sure will call me after this press briefing if I didn't get it right. And but 70 nautical miles is the distance that we're planning to, and that I have in front of me. I do want to address the star trackers real quick, in that we never had a case where we violated the flight rules. The star trackers were functioning sufficient that we could continue on with the mission. It was really a case where we were seeing something we didn't understand. And so you are correct that we do need the star trackers to continue on with the mission, but at all times they were providing us measurements that were able to allow the mission to proceed. And so while we saw something we didn't quite understand, the hardware was operating sufficiently that we were able to continue the mission. And of course, we talk in what if it doesn't work, but in this case, it continued to work sufficiently well enough for us to continue on while the team really investigated what was going on at the time.
Investigated.
Yeah, and Jeff, I think you hit the nail on the head there. We were meeting the functionality requirements for attitude updates and navigation updates with the star trackers. So from a system performance and system functionality standpoint, that one was not violating the flight rule. It was, again, something that we didn't fully understand, and we needed to get a brain trust together to work through it, and it didn't take that long. That said, I understand again the feedback, Bill, and apologize that we didn't share that sooner. This is a bit of a marathon in terms of launching from the Kennedy Space Center, getting safely through translunar injection. We provided an update to each and every one of you after launch, and that was after a very long day. And then I'm speaking for myself. I think I went and took a nap at the hotel for about 3 hours, and then was notified that we had a funny with the star tracker. We did note that, and then I believe we noted that, and then we had the anomaly resolution discussion the afternoon of the 15th. Again, I'm speaking for myself. I took a power nap, and then got on a plane here to Houston the next day, and then we settled in and we worked our way down the funny list, and that was on the funny list, and we had over a dozen funnies on the list.
They're
so
phenomenal, these guys.
We are proceeding, given the information that we have, and that was not seen as a hard constraint. It was just something that we just didn't understand. It was initially outside of our experience base, but again, understand the feedback on that one. In terms of hazards at the pad, there were some gas line leaks that are used to inert the system, both on the nitrogen and the helium side. Those in of themselves are hazards, right? There's asphyxiation, and we need to worry about those types of things. But simply having some amount of damage and the inconvenience of not being able to fully assess the mobile launcher, given the elevator blast door issue, is something that's just causing us to take a little more time. So the team is proceeding out of an abundance of caution to get the full system status for the mobile launcher, and they're working their way through that. I would just again ask for a little bit of patience as we work through it. It's been 2 days since we launched, and it's just taken a little bit of time.
We have time for just a couple more questions this evening. Our next will.
That is the nicest way I've ever heard anybody say, shut up and wait, be patient. That's the nicest way I've ever seen anybody say that, ever. Ever.
Come from Sophie Sanchez with Cosmic Chicago.
Hi, thank you. This question is for Mike. Sorry to, go on about the star trackers again, but you mentioned that the issue being with the thruster firing, I understand that the software is working, but do you expect the dazzling to be a recurring issue as you continue to use the thrusters? I mean, just going forward in future missions, they're going to rely on these star trackers. And then if you can tell us, where are the two star trackers located on Orion in relation to each other and the thrusters? And just, a follow-up question on that. On media. Is there going to be any more engineering footage from the launch offered? And, we've been expecting more views, not only of the mission, but also from the launch pad. Thank you.
I'll split the Star Tracker question, Sophie, and again, thank you for your question. We do expect this to be a normal phenomenon with the Star Trackers.
The big deal is that it's just understood behavior.
It was something that we didn't initially understand, and it is a normal feature of this specific configuration of the Orion spacecraft. Jim, do you want to talk about kind of the orientation and just how the system is configured, and then I'll talk about the more media release.
Sure. I'll just add a few more words about how the software works. So the Star Tracker is constantly outputting its attitude knowledge, and the onboard software of Orion is looking for that information. Occasionally, when we see this dazzling phenomenon, the software may get a flag or generate a flag saying, I'm not ready to incorporate that data into my navigation filter. Now, this is a temporary situation. The Star Tracker keeps trying to acquire attitude knowledge, and when it's ready, it then clears that flag, and the software is able to reset and keep going. So this is a phenomenon we will expect to continue periodically throughout the rest of the mission. However, as we've moved away from Earth, we've seen less occurrences of it, but the system and the software is set up to deal with that and continue generating attitude information just fine. As for the location, on the aft end of what we call the crew module adapter is what's called a navigation base. Here we have two star trackers mounted in 90 degrees apart, as well as the optical navigation system, which is a different camera is used to help navigate through deep space. So these cameras, the star trackers and the optical navigation camera, are located at the aft end here. And if you recall the orientation of the service module, there are pods of reaction control thrusters oriented throughout 90 degrees apart. One of these pods is located pretty close to the Star Tracker base, and that's what is causing the dazzling phenomenon. But it's a very tightly packed orientation. We have radiators and Star Trackers and many other equipment on that service module. And so this is just something that teams have seen in past space flight, and we're prepared to deal with it with no impact to the mission.
Yeah, and on the orientation, Sophie, I'm sure we can follow up with you after the fact and show you a 3D model or show you, kind of the graphic of where the optical bench and the star trackers and the optical navigation sensors sit on the navigation base relative to the thrusters, just to kind of give you a sense of where they are relative to the overall Orion spacecraft, but also relative to each other, the thrusters and the optical sensors. In terms of more media release, yes, absolutely. We will share footage from the launch, the launch phase, the ascent through translunar injection. As Jeff was indicating earlier, we do have to manage bandwidth for any information that is recorded on board the Orion spacecraft. We do that through the Deep Space Network, and there are many, many other customers, science customers, that use the Deep Space Network, and we need to be good stewards of that resource. There is a capacity that we share there with other customers. But the data that is on the ground, we do need to go through that from a export control and compliance process. That is not something that NASA imposes on itself. That is a federal law that we, because we have dual use technology, have to comply with, and there is a process to do that. And we have folks that literally have to look through every still image and every video that's released when it comes to dual use technology that is on the export compliance and the international arms and traffic regulations list. And it is a byproduct of the type of system and the type of mission that we fly. We don't choose that for ourselves. It is just something that we have to comply with. So again, I would just ask for your patience and let us work through that process, and we will absolutely share what we can as soon as it's available. There are many, many images out there. I probably have seen like maybe 1% of them just in what little time that I've had here in Houston. But you know, my personal focus is on working with these gentlemen and the teams that they represent to accomplish the objectives and do so safely. And we have other team members that are focused on sharing with the general public and all of you in the media what we can as soon as we can, and we're committed to do that.
And our last question in the queue this evening comes from Jackie Waddles with CNN.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for doing this. So, Mike, you mentioned there were a dozen or so funnies that you were working through the day after launch. Do any of those stick out as significant or remain unresolved? And then going into this decision tomorrow on whether to enter the distant retrograde orbit, what sticks out to you on that checklist, and what could prevent that from being a no answer? Thank you.
Yeah, Jackie, that's a great question. In terms of our readiness to commit to the distant retrograde orbit and the decision gate tomorrow, there is nothing that sticks out as a clear no-go or a lean against what we've seen. Of the 13 funnies that we've seen, we talked about the Star Tracker component ready flag. We had a coolant loop 1 flow rate funny, where we saw a momentary drop in the flow rate, and it's happening episodically, which indicates that there's gas in that fluid line that has a propylene glycol water mixture. We're getting proper cooling on the coolant loop 1 specifically. We've seen a number of issues with file transfers from the solar array wingtip cameras. They have memory and recorders on board. They use a Wi-Fi system to get imagery into the cockpit. Obviously, imagery, we love it. We want to share it as much as we can. We want to record it. But if we're having issues getting it off of the vehicle, that actually slows the effort to share things with the team. And Jeff and his team in the FOD team in Mission Control have worked through that. They've kind of figured out how to work through the system. And part of this is with the Deep Space Network and understanding when we have the availability to do that. We did have a number of communications glitches, some of which are behind us during the launch phase. We had either forward or return link problems, but we did capture a lot of data during the launch phase. And we've seen that the spacecraft is running a little hotter when it flies tail to sun, but it's certainly well within limits. So those and some other micro switches and brake latch indications on the solar array wings, all those, the team has documented, worked through, to understand, is this a thermal thing? Is it a microswitch thing? But overall, the system is performing really well. And right now, we don't have any again, hard leans or hard no-goes against the commit point to the outbound powered flyby. But that said, that decision gate is tomorrow. There's always a chance that something could happen between the time that we're talking and tomorrow, and our risk posture and our situation could change. So we're just going to wait. We're going to give it more time. We're going to give the teams more time to assess all the data that we have and to continue to shake down the spacecraft as we head outbound and wait for that decision gate and make that decision when it's time. It's not time to make that decision right now. And I don't know, Jim, do you have anything to add in terms of the anomalies? Anything stick out in your mind that would be a hard no-go?
No, I think you characterized it very well. We're learning some things about the system that we didn't see in ground testing. But again, the system performance has, in general, exceeded expectations, and everything points to being able to accomplish the outbound powered flyby and continue the mission.
Okay. And Jeff, from your standpoint, you're one of the lead operators in mission control. Anything that you want to highlight in terms of our ability to enter the distant retrograde orbit and proceed with the outbound powered flyby?
No, I would tell you that the vehicle is very clean, right? We're learning things on a first flight vehicle. A lot of that, honestly, is the operators going, hey, this didn't look like the way I expected it, but then we look at it a little bit longer and we say, well, that's performance that's acceptable. It may not be what we expected, but it is acceptable performance and it allows us to proceed. So there's a lot of that learning that's going on. And, right now, all the systems are meeting all of our flight rules to press for OPF. As Mike mentioned, the MMT will make that decision tomorrow, but right now we're looking good and we're ready to go continue executing.
Yeah, so I think what you're hearing here, Jackie and Irene and others that have asked some of these questions, is we had an understanding of the system headed into the mission. We had predicts. We had, whether it was how much power would we consume or how much propellant or how hot the vehicle would be. And we're not exactly matching that. And in most cases, it is performing better. We're using less power. We're using less propellant. It's a little bit warmer than we thought it would be, so maybe we don't need the heaters as much. We're seeing things that don't quite match our predictions. And the team is spending the time to go through that and doing it with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that there isn't something else there that is potentially a latent issue or something that would give us concern as we're sitting out there in the distant retrograde orbit. You got to recall that the distant retrograde orbit is a non-Earth return trajectory. We are deliberately going to put ourselves in an orbit about the moon and stress test this vehicle. So before we do that and before we commit to it, we're going to look at every rock. We're going to turn every rock over. We're going to make sure that we understand thoroughly what each of these things mean that don't match what we were predicting. And that's what you're seeing and that's what you're hearing.
Great, thank you. And thanks to all who submitted questions this evening. And a huge thanks again to our briefers for taking time out of their very busy schedules to discuss the upcoming outbound powered flyby burn and entrance of Orion into the lunar sphere of influence. We'll be covering the OPF burn live on NASA TV beginning at 6:15 a.m. Central, 7:15 a.m. Eastern on Monday. And be sure to follow along with our daily blog posts as Orion continues its journey to the moon and beyond at blogs.nasa.gov/Artemis. So thanks again for joining us. That will wrap up today's briefing.
Well, that's not really what I wanted to hear, but yep, it is what it is. KSP question for you when you get a second. Hey, do you know when EJ had same vessel interacted with monitors? Do you have to change a config file to do so? No. Just key it as an action group. Yeah, it's not bandwidth, guys. It's not bandwidth. Mike gave the nice answer where he said that, you have to consider bandwidth for the deep space network, and I understand that. But it ain't a bandwidth problem. Jeff literally said like 15 minutes prior that they have a constant live view of the capsule at all times. It's not a bandwidth issue. It's not a bandwidth issue. There's some kind of technology on Orion that they don't want people seeing. There's some export control stuff on Orion. We've never seen a picture of the capsule, and you could be dang sure that they could get a picture of the capsule with those solar panel cameras because they twist. There's something on Orion that does not want to be seen. And as far as why they said don't take pictures of the mobile launcher. My guess, if I had to guess, is that it's not necessarily ITAR, but it's proprietary information. Now, there's a difference between ITAR and proprietary information. So let's think about this for a second. We know the umbilical, the ground carrier umbilical plate, they've censored that in the past. And we also know that, well, what else is commercial? What else could be potentially commercial proprietary information? The interim cryogenic propulsion stage umbilical, ICPS. It's ULAs. The umbilical is very similar to the one at Slick 37. And I've never seen ULA take a picture of that thing up close when it's not connected to a rocket. So that's my guess. I mean, Lockheed made the capsule, so there might be some... No, there is. There is. Yeah, it ain't bandwidth. I'm pretty damn sure. But what do I know? Who knows? That kind of sucks, to be honest with you. But I understand why it's there. I understand why they're doing it. It just sucks. Yeah, Sam, exactly. Like, and in terms of, dude, you can't, in terms of, like, classified stuff and trafficking control stuff, like, they can't even say exactly what what is and isn't ITAR, right? Because if you're specific about ITAR, then you know what's classified and what's not, right? So there's something on it. Like, they have to be vague about, what is, like, something that they don't want people seeing, because if they say specifically, oh, we don't want you to see the reaction control system thrusters, well, now you know that there's something funny with the reaction control thrusters, right? So they even have to be vague about that, which is annoying. But so pardon my French, but what the heck is their plan for man stuff then? Because if they're crazy if they think people will accept those excuses for not live transmitting the man landing live in a few years. I don't have an answer for you. I don't have an answer for you, homie. Yeah, I don't have an answer. Dude, I'm with you. I agree with you. I agree with what everybody's saying. This is frankly ridiculous that we literally have to downplay it. What, like, oh my gosh, it's so stupid. We have to downplay going back to the moon and just make it seem like it's not that big of a deal because we can't see anything on the capsule because there's something that's ITAR on the capsule that NASA is operating. It has to go through export controls, Aiden. That's correct. Guys, it's so funny to me, dude. Like, I do this because it needs to be said. I don't really like bad-mouthing NASA in any capacity. It's pretty messed up to do so because you know how I am with it. You don't know better. I don't know better. No one knows better than them. Like, come on. Nobody knows better how to run NASA than NASA. Like, don't get me wrong, there have been discrepancies in the past, but like, I just hate the entitlement, you know what I mean? Like, oh, why aren't you doing this? This is so stupid. Why are you doing it this? Why are you making this rocket? This rocket's dumb. We should be making triangles or something. Like, I don't like that. I really generally don't like bad-mouthing NASA. I just don't. I don't do it. It's messed up. You know, like, but, you know, you spend all this time, you know, saying that you want to, you know, we want to inspire the next generation. No, you can't see this. That's, which one do you want to do, man? That's why I always freaking cringe when they say, we're here to inspire the next generation. It's like, you know, okay, launch something. Oh, you did? Oh, we can't see it. Okay. Yeah, yep, here's your blog post. You can't see the moon until it's ready, bro. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, Yarg, it's a shame. Like, I wouldn't be critical unless it was absolutely necessary. This is what I was trying to say the other day. I made it a point to mention this. Like, you guys know that I'm not like this. I try to be the hype guy, you know what I'm saying? It's cool. The views that we got were sick. I was really happy with it, but I'll be honest, this is like nothing we didn't see before. Okay. Okay. Hello? Yeah, that's cool. This footage was sped up. But, yeah, Lord Gugu, I'm kind of with you on that one, man. Kind of with you. What makes me mad is who's going to steal this ITAR information? China? Yeah, they will. They will, Wisp. They absolutely will. They have their own space station. They don't need it. Beyond low Earth orbit is U.S. domain, man. Like, not like that. Don't take that out of context. You know what I mean? Once you get out of low Earth orbit, tracking becomes very different. It seems like they're trying to protect the DSN or something, or some type of imaging or optical technology or whatever. Mike Baylor released some great footage earlier today. Is it the Yeah, we'll check that out. Why can't they crop out or use the foot? Well, they will, Seven. They will. They will. They have to scrub through it. It has to go through export controls. So they're not showing video because there's something classified on it or something going wrong. Classified, Cody. There's a couple of anomalies here and there, but yeah. I'm bothered, EJ, because it's not like they didn't know about the ITAR thing was ITAR when they were setting up the camera shots. Why are there no camera shots that doesn't have... Yeah, Aqualex, I don't know. It's kind of curious, dude. Like... Yeah. Yeah, fellas, like, I don't mean to be critical. I'm usually not this critical of NASA. If you know me, guys, I'm on the hype train, usually. Like, this is just... Yeah, Yarg, I don't know, man. It sucks. Freaking sucks, dude. Like, once again, I don't like bad-mouthing NASA, and it's not really even their fault, dudes. It's just trafficking and arms regulations, you know? I mean, but fellas, see, like, here's the thing, and this is what I said the other day. Like, I don't want people to get confused. What I said on Wednesday morning when we picked up the stream, what I said was, look, I get it. There's some ITAR stuff on there. You do not want your adversaries to get beyond low Earth orbit tech. I get it. That makes perfect sense to me. I understand that. Now, during the space race, the Soviets could already launch something beyond low Earth orbit. They already had the tech, so maybe that's why it was more out in the open. But even then, I understand like not wanting to show pictures all the time. That makes perfect sense to me. You don't have to show pictures all the time. You could show mission control. You could show the screens in mission control, which have live pictures of it. You could have the PAOs sitting there explaining the different phases of the orbit, sitting there answering questions. Like, even if even if it was just a bandwidth problem with the capsule, there are ways to do outreach here and monitor the mission. NASA could even just have a live stream with the Artemis I tracking software up in full screen, and that's it. And then just have a PAO commentating on it every once in a while. Like, you could do that. What's the excuse here? Like, that's what I'm annoyed about. I get it if you want export controls on the capsule. I honestly understand that, dude, because anything will, in this day and age, I mean, information gets disseminated and it goes everywhere so ridiculously fast. I would understand not wanting to be secretive about that stuff. I understand it, and believe it or not, I kind of agree with some of it. But to not hype up your own damn launch, there should be a stream with a PAO talking about that footage that's being shown right here. And this footage, even these loops, this should be periodically shown on NASA TV. Where is it? Let me see. This shot right here. Oh man, that's cool. Were they this secretive during Apollo? No. But Apollo didn't have... It kind of had some live shots, but not everything was live. A lot of it was infographics and stuff. And that's what I'm talking about. I understand if you don't want to show some of this stuff. I totally get it. That makes perfect sense to me. You don't want to show some of this. You don't want people peeping. You know what I mean? I get it. You don't want any of that. But the fact that there is no PR being done, there's no public affairs being done other than blog posts and these press conferences sporadically is really, really obnoxious. I don't like that. The speed of information back then was much, much slower. Yeah, Dish, once again, I understand why they don't want to show this stuff. I understand why they don't want to show the umbilicals. I understand why they don't want to show the capsule. I get it. They don't want to show the star trackers. They don't want to show any of that. That's perfectly okay. They don't want to show the optical relative navigation equipment. The optic sensing packages. They don't want to show. I get it. Makes perfect sense. But, when life gives you lemons, frickin' make lemonade. Do live streams with 3D renders of it. And show where it is. They have that Artemis track. There wasn't even an attempt to hype this. And you could do it without onboard views all the time, which is really, I'll be honest with you, man, it's really pissing me off.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
It's really annoying. And if Odia just got home, anything of note from the conference? Not really. Everything's going good with the mission. They had some wonkiness with the star tracker, but it's understood behavior now, so it's not a big problem. They posted a picture from the nav camera okay. But what is the excuse for not pointing a camera at the moon and showing the moon getting larger as Orion gets closer? Oh yeah, no, Yarg, there's not even an attempt. No, I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. Dude, I'm with you. There's no reason you can't look at a shot and be like, okay, we don't have to worry about export controls there. Just, I get that makes perfect sense to me, but, oh. Hello. that shot doesn't suck. No, VB. Elon and SpaceX are great at public relations. SpaceX missions are very, very transparent to an extent. Hey, Core, 54 months. Thanks, dude. One of the things people need to remember is this is a tough flight. They really don't want to hype a test flight, and if it fails, failing publicly is part of why NASA is so good, Pythos. That when they fail publicly, and you learn that is one of the best things about NASA. If they fail publicly. So don't freaking fail. It forces you to do a better job. And I like that. I agree with it. That's the way it should be. We shouldn't be closed off. We shouldn't be like the other guys. Screw that. We're not like that. We shouldn't roll like that. I don't like that. But it is what it is. I don't think Jim would have let this happen had he been administrator. Agreed. Yep. What could possibly be in the heart? It could be showing off how good your optics package is, Akaika. I don't freaking know. Like I said, they're intentionally vague about ITAR things. They're intentionally vague with it because they don't want to tell you what part. They don't want to be like, oh, we don't want to show you the batteries. We don't want to show you the batteries that's export controlled. Well, now you know that the batteries have something fishy with them, right? Like, they have to be... Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not even Optical's Orion, optical sensing package. I wouldn't even be surprised. But also, look at that picture. That's a pretty good picture. Tara, thanks for the raid. What's ITAR? International, or not international, the International Trafficking Arms Regulations. It's basically, you don't want military grade technology getting into the wrong hands. Yeah, that picture's freaking sweet. Exactly, Kralani. Bingo. Yeah, JFK, I'm with you. I'm with you guys on it. I understand why they're doing it. Like, there's a big difference, you know? Like, I understand why it is the way that it is. I get it. I don't really agree with it, but I get it. Like, there's this B-roll footage of Dan talking about Artemis here. That's Dan Hewitt. He's one of the PAOs at NASA. Like,
walk you through really. And we're here, the first flight in the Artemis program.
See, like, this is the kind of stuff they need to be explaining all the time.
It's gonna look like going around the moon and then
Even taking this B-roll video and just playing this constantly on NASA TV. Even that. But check this out, dude. Look, you go to NASA TV right now. What are they talking about over here?
Reynolds number capability and superior data acquisition techniques provide the accuracy level,
Don't get me wrong,
efficiency,
that's
and
actually
flexibility which today's aerospace programs demand. Your test program can begin with a visit, phone call, or email. A senior-level test engineer will analyze your requirements and make an assessment of the capabilities necessary for your research. Once test requirements are established, an action plan is prepared.
Okay, is it bad if I actually kind of enjoy what they're talking about? They're talking about wind tunnel aerodynamics. To be fair, that's actually pretty cool. They showed this exact B-roll at 2 p.m. because a lot of people are watching NASA TV at 2 p.m. on a Friday. Nice.
Research Center, you will be afforded the opportunity to visit our vast suite of wind tunnel capabilities across the center.
That's pretty sweet. See what I mean? Like, there's gotta be some leeway here. That's I guess what I'm getting at. Like, I understand why there's not, but there's gotta be something, man. Yeah, it sucks. And that's how EJ became a wind turbine engineer. Wind tunnel, but yeah. If I were NASA, I'd make a separate channel just for Artemis 1. I agree. I agree, Endo. Like, even if it's somebody literally doing this, like with mission control behind them, heck, you could blur the damn screens. Don't care. Like, we're live here at T plus 60 minutes, you know, or T plus 3 days, 2 hours, minutes into the thing. We're currently this far away from the, you know, capture burn, like basically what the PAO did back in the day. The PAO just did that every once in a while, you know, like. The only explanation is that they're sending weapons to the moon and literally can't show anything because they're deploying it. Cody, yeah, no, that's not right. And jumping to conclusions like that is probably the dumbest thing that you could do. That is not being scientific about anything. You can't prove that. You can't prove it. And you're jumping to conclusions and you're thinking what you believe. That's bull. That's bull. That's not how engineering works at all. If you don't have any analysis behind any of those statements, then it's just an opinion. And guess what? Opinions are like buttholes, man. Everyone has one. Okay? That is completely wrong. Do not jump to conclusions like that in my stream. Don't do it. Not cool. You got to learn, dude. You got to learn that. That's not how you think when you're an engineer. Boca cosplay. What is this? This is something that was linked. It's a picture of the pad. It was linked before. I've been trying to increase attention to this mission by linking it to bigger streams with no avail. Should I keep trying? That's your prerogative, man, if you want to. Repost. So sharing pictures like this is good, but when it reaches space, it's suddenly ITAR. I have no proof that they're not doing that. You have no proof that they're not doing that. So you're forming a conclusion and... Oh, jeez. Good luck out there, man. Good luck. You're forming a conclusion based off of your own biases and then trying to find confirmational data. That is literally the opposite of what you should be doing. Like, that is actually the exact opposite of how you think scientifically. That is, you know, so Cody, look, punch in your computer the scientific method. You are literally doing the opposite of that. Space Administration, Mach, is what it stands for. He's joking. Calm down. No, he's not. You guys don't have to sit here and talk to the same people every day. I do. I know when people are joking and when they're not. Actually, sometimes it's a little difficult to tell, but... Anyway, so, yeah, it's disappointing, fellas. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. It sucks, but hey, I'll keep you guys live with the updates. They said they're going live. Their coverage is going live at 6 on Monday. Someone's going to have a case of the Mondays. I'll be here for it. But also... That's nice. Yeah. 6 a.m. Yuri, a.m. Yeah, I know, bro. Can imagine, because they're not showing the footage, people coming to wild, crazy conclusions like sending weapons out to the moon. You're kind of right. No, it sucks, man. I really wish it didn't have to be this way, but it is what it is. Talked to anyone that was down there. It was exactly like the shuttle, JFK, from people that were down there. Yeah, it's exactly like the shuttle. But SLS blew the doors off of the elevator on the mobile launcher. That's awesome. Oh, dude, that's cool. You might enjoy the slow-mo. Yeah, probably. We watched this a little bit earlier at the beginning of the stream, dude. I do enjoy the slow-mo. You know what? You know what, Helander? We're watching it again. Forge, what are you showing? What is this? works. It is orange, Panda Man. Burbs. That's the power of the SLS. More launching, more boosters. That's the power of SLS. It worked. Oh, that footage is sick. The footage coming from the image library is sweet. Dude, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. They could just B-roll this footage all day. Like, you could just B-roll this footage. This footage is freaking money. Like, you can just show this. This is good enough. This is great. You know what? 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 Screw it. No, don't show that footage. We'll show that footage. You come here. Come here to see stream. Do they tell me they have a helicopter camera of this thing launching? Nope. It's just helicopter footage. All right. If it's just helicopter footage, here's what we need. Here's what we need. This is what we need. This is excellent. I did, Urias. I've seen that, yeah. See? This is sweet! Sub only or require permit from mods, Jay. See? That's good. That worked. That was pretty good. Oh, that's pretty freaking sweet. No, that's awesome. That's the next Falcon Heavy payload? Let me see. That's Visat? Yeah, she's a big one. We just need a Countach to drive by? Yeah, baby. See, there's so much good B-roll footage. Just show the B-roll. Just show this. It's so good. We need more B-roll. What is this? What's this B-roll of? That's rollout. No, that's no. There's some pictures of people working on some rads or something. That guy, Frank, is like, what are you doing? Why are you taking my picture? Like, Frank's like, what are you doing? You taking a picture? What are you taking a picture of me? I'm trying to clean the fan. See, dude, you could just, yeah. That picture is pretty neat. Because ITAR doesn't mean guns, Cody. You need to go read about what ITAR means, dude. You need to go read. Because, remember how I always say, if you're out of your lane, if you don't know, don't assume. Assuming is just gonna make you look stupid. Don't do that. Gotta go and figure it out. And don't get me wrong, man. I ain't above this either. I make this mistake sometimes too. Oh, Cronny, do we have trolls in chat? Can I feed the trolls, guys, please? Please? Can we feed the troll? No? All right. I'd have to go look at the conversation. Feed them? You allow it? Please? Have fun? Oh. Very nice. Ski thing. Oh, dude. No. Oh my God. No, that's not worth it. That's not what that one. Cronny, you can deal with that. You can deal with that one. Jesus. All right, that's the helicopter one. We already had that. We need some launch stuff. Is this the? Yeah, right. Do we have the boosters in addition? Or is this just slow-mo? Oh, yeah. Yeah, facts hurt. Oh, my God, dude. Yeah, facts hurts. Okay. Oh, my goodness. All right. I need a drink of water. Hey, what's the best school to go to for astrophysics? MIT. But I might be slightly biased in that regard, Vacha. Oh, dude, look at the overpressure. That looks good, banana time. Yeah, Deadbringer, I'm kind of with you. Did EJ go to MIT? No. I'm not smart enough for that. Dude, that thing was so powerful, it broke the damn elevator doors. Dude, the overpressure event from the booster ignition. Watch the condensation form behind the tower. Just funk. Woohoo! Oh, that's cool. The plume is essentially a 551 on steroids, bro. 551 is as tall as one of those boosters, man. Steroids would be underselling this. I just want to thank you for your coverage of the mission, man. I hope NASA's watching and learn from you how to meet. Yeah, Throffy, it's like, once again, dude, it's not NASA's. It's not NASA's. They don't have the. It's not them. Their hands are tied, dude. As a SpaceX fanboy, I think the reason why they're not showing Orion is because they're using Dragon instead. Nice. Yeah, Deadbringer. That means, like I said, they got to be vague about something. I don't know, man. I'm not saying there's any. I'm also not saying there's any uniformity to to any of that crap. You know what I'm saying? What did you see at the start? Oh, the overpressure, the booster overpressure. Hey, we got the same chair. Hey, dude, Marcus is great. This is one of the best chairs I've ever owned. It's also one of the least expensive chairs I've ever owned. Them Swedes really know how to make a desk chair. They're very good at it. Them dang Swedes and their dang furniture. You straight said not, dude. This is the most. I sit on this chair for like 10 hours a day here doing this stream. It's great. I love this chair. I secretly think that maybe the Swedes want to take over the world via desk chairs, but sometimes people call me crazy for that. You gotta pump up those numbers, buddy. It's not enough numbers. You gotta pump up those numbers. All right, so Dave, right here. So what's going on? The shuttle engines ignite, and that's only 2.4 million pounds of thrust. Oh, it's only. When the boosters go, that 2.4 goes up to 8.8 million pounds of thrust. The booster, what you're seeing from that condensation there, and once again, atmospheric conditions have to be just right. You don't necessarily see this all the time, but at night here, the humidity was perfect for this to happen. We did see this phenomenon with the shuttle. If you look up STS-114, launched at night, it did the same thing. What's going on is they turn the SRBs on, and the SRBs move the gas out of the white tubes so ridiculously quick that you make an overpressure event in the flame trench, and it gets shot out of the flame trench. And when the flame trench opens up, so the flame trench is, it's a funnel basically, right? That's the small part of the funnel, and the flame trench goes outward behind the mobile launcher. When that high pressure from the overpressure event inside of the flame trench, because the booster's shooting all that extra gas into the flame trench, actually creates momentary overpressurization. So, like inside of the flame trench, it can get up to like, I'm taking a guess, it's probably like 2 to 3 bar, maybe, if I had to guess. It's probably more than that, but even if it's 2 to 3 bar, when that high pressure gas inside of the flame trench goes out of the flame trench and depressurizes, you get an insane condensation wave. So that's what, watch all back up in here. See? Oh, that's cool. That just shows you how savage these boosters are. They literally, look at all that. See? It's depressurizing out of the flame trench. That's unbelievable. Bar to PSI. One bar is 14.7 PSI. Hey, where did that troll go? I don't know, man. It's another guy who thinks, I know about Operation Paperclip, but I didn't actually bother to go and read anything about why we did it. NASA's full of crap, Operation Paperclip. It's another blind squirrel with a nut, dude. They do this all the time. Everyone knows about Operation Paperclip, dude. You're not special. Yeah, Dave, that's what I'm talking about. So it's probably right around this point right here where the elevator doors decided to not exist anymore. It's right around this point. Google's Operation Paperclip. After World War II, there was actually this kind of feeds into ITAR a little bit if you guys want to know, or what would become ITAR, right? When World War II was ending, okay? The U.S. and the Soviets were the Allies and the Soviets, I should say. Just the Allies were going to be victorious. So the French, the British, the Americans, with Poland's help, even though Poland kind of didn't, and then the Soviet Union, right? They were going to be victorious. So the U.S., basically when Germany surrendered, May 8th, 1945, they wanted to make sure that none of that technology falls into the Soviets' hands. All of the really high-tech military equipment that Nazi Germany used, they didn't want that falling into Soviet hands. Operation Paperclip was the operation that was started by the predecessor of the Central Intelligence Agency called the Office of Strategic Services, or OSS for short. They commenced this operation to go and find as much tech, as much military tech as you possibly could to make sure that the Soviets wouldn't get it. And they got a lot of scientists. They got von Braun, for instance. They got all of his engineers, and they got a bunch of other jet propulsion guys. They rocket engineers, all kinds of German engineers that worked on all these ridiculous weapons like the aggregate force, so the V2, the V1, the Messerschmitt 262, the Arado 234. They went and got all of them, and they brought them back to the U.S. for debrief. Some of them stayed, some of them went back to Germany. Von Braun, for instance, he did stay. He stayed, and he started, after that, he was developing ballistic missiles for the Army Ballistic Missile Agency. This is not a secret. I hate it how people treat it like this is some gotcha fact. This ain't a secret. We know. You know what I mean? We know. We know. We know that this happened. Yeah, I get it. And then in 1958, they merged the government under Eisenhower as a response to Sputnik being launched and the International Geophysical Year 1957, created a new agency called the National Aeronautics and Space Agency. They created NASA. They merged the Army Ballistic Missile Agency with the National Advisory Committee on Aeronautics in late 1958. They merged those two into one entity and made NASA. And von Braun moved over, and he helped develop the Little Joe 2 rocket. He helped develop the Redstone rocket, the Jupiter, the Juno rocket. Actually, those are Army ballistic missile rockets, but they're all kind of related. And then Saturn 1B and the Saturn V. Dude, it's not rocket science. Everyone knows this. So there you go. Like that's what that troll was getting at. It's like, did you guys know that NASA used German scientists? It's like, yeah, we know. Yeah, thanks. That's right, Charles. Yep, it's important to know your history. You know, it's important to know your history. That's very important. You guys ever seen back of the $20 bill on Kerbal Snacks? Is there something going on there? I don't know, man. Red team go! Red team go! You know, like. This is nothing we didn't know. It's not a shocking revelation. The red team... Wait, Badger... Wait, the red team did go, and they fixed it. Red team? Yeah, exactly, Kishmaster. It's funny how that works, huh? Thank you for explaining. Sure, Fat Prophet. I like knowing my history. It's important to understand that. It's important to understand your history. If you don't understand the history, you don't understand why we have the technology that I had... Why we have the technology that we have. You can't go boats against the current into the future. You got to understand your past so you can blaze a new trail into the future, like this. I say that ironically because this is using equipment of the past, but also, yep, can't say that I hate what's going on here. That's right, Uncle X. Von Braun. Yeah, von Braun and Walt Disney wanted to do STEM outreach, and he used von Braun to do it. Oh yeah, about moon rockets. This was in 1954. This is before NASA even existed, man. The rocket performed perfectly. It just landed on the wrong planet. Yeah. Nice $20 billion kit. I'm serious. That's $4 billion carrot. That one is $4 billion. Okay. Okay. All right. No. No, Thomas, that rocket sucks. That's right, Fat. There you go. Personally, I would have preferred they put all the wrongdoers on trial instead of giving them clean slates. See, Charles, that right there. You don't know your history. Look up Walter Dornberger. Yeah, von Braun's right-hand man. Look what happened to him. See? You guys don't know your history. It's very important. Dornberger was one of those scientists, and they figured out that he did some messed up stuff during the war. Guess what they did? They put him on trial and deported him back to Germany. He said, go back to Germany. He goes, but I've been living here for 30 years. They're like, we don't give a frick. Get the hell out of here. True story. You don't know your history. That's important. It's very important. Also, that's a really nice picture. Von Braun just wanted to build rockets. Yeah, of course, rocket. Yeah, absolutely. The guy was obsessed with it, but he was... The means at which he did it were not a little bit questionable, don't you think? You can acknowledge good with bad, man. That's important. That's another big thing about history. You have to know what's good and what's bad. Just acknowledge the story. I'm not going to sit here and say Von Braun was an angel either, but I'm not going to sit here and say that he's the devil either. You acknowledge that humans can be both. You have good days and you have really bad days, right? Anyway, let's pop back over. Oh, dude, look, I was closing out tabs. Look at this picture. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Gooners, he did. So, fellas, you guys don't. Oh, my goodness. Okay, all right, let me explain. So, they figured out that Von Braun, one of Von Braun's right-hand men, Dornberger, did some messed up stuff during the war. This wasn't always known. They were figuring it out for years, decades after the war. They didn't figure out the kind of stuff that they did until the 80s. That's when they got around to getting rid of him. Von Braun died before we really got to that point. You know what I'm saying? Before they really figured out conclusively what the frick was going on. You know, now, if you think that's messed up, if you think that there's huge injustice there, you'd probably be right. But I guess the best thing to do here, and what are you going to do? Punish his grave? Best thing to do is to acknowledge it, understand it, don't make that mistake again, and move on, right? That's what I mean about acknowledging good and bad. That's so ridiculously important. People are complicated. You're damn right. We can't look at these things as this person's evil, this person's not evil. Don't get me wrong, there are evil people out there. Absolutely. But it's not that simple. It's not that simple, guys. Do you have bad days? Do you have a bad day where you go to the store and you're just you've had a terrible freaking day and you go in the store and the line takes a little bit longer than what it normally gives it? You get freaked out, you're pissed off, you yell at somebody? Never happened to any of you. Has this ever happened to anybody? It's happened to me, and I was ashamed of myself after I Karen'd somebody. It was pathetic. You know? People have bad days. Now, if that was that, you got to remember, that's someone's first time ever seeing you. Somebody's never seen you before, and they saw you be a complete jerk. And guess what? They probably think you're a complete jerk now. And we wonder why everybody goes around saying, oh, society sucks. Oh, I hate people all the time. Maybe you're just seeing somebody on a bad day. Food for thought. I'm a bit confused as I can never find something about Dornberger being deported. It's there. Gotta go look it. You gotta go look. I'm good, Dabby? Yeah, okay. Right on, man. Were you Space Karen at the block party last night? It wasn't really a block party. I just got together with my neighbors and watched the watched the Bruins game. Now, Admiral, I will tell you this. When it comes to me and not being here in this stream talking to you guys about space, if I'm out and about going about my day, I have a firm rule about this. I do not bring up space unless somebody else does. I'm not going to bring it up. Nope. If someone has a question about space, then I'll talk. But like my neighbors, they wanted to sit there and watch hockey. Guess what? We talked about hockey. Never talked about space once, and that's fine. I am cool with that. The reason why I'm cool with that is because if you ask me a question about space, I won't shut the hell up. I won't shut the frick up. I'll talk your ear off and you'll be like, get away from me. Hockey is cringe. So are you. Got him. You mean you don't introduce yourself with Orange Rocket Good? No. I mean, that would be funny, but no. No. I think I found the problem. What's that, Sawyer? Oh, that's a sparkly rainbow of death. Getting it hard to do nowadays. No, Aqualex, it's actually easier, dude, as I get older, you know? Hi, I'm EJ, and Orange Rocket Good. I will literally do that to the next person that I'm introduced to. You think I won't? But they beat the hell out of the Flyers, but yeah, you talked about space. Actually, Chris... We kind of were just talking about other things by the third period, man. Sorry. Dude, look, Chris, I'll tell you this right now. I will tell you this. Yeah, we kicked the trash out of the Flyers. Yeah, they kicked the trash out of a bunch of people. I don't trust it. I do not trust that for a second. Yeah, the Bruins are 15-2 right now. That's bullcrap. There's no way this is going to last. There's no way they're going to make it to the end of the season with this type, performing at this type of level. And if they do, it's going to be like the Yankees, and they're going to get just absolutely destroyed in the Cup playoffs. Like, I can see this coming from a mile away. You're doing too good right now. You are doing way too good. You should not be doing this good this early in the season. That's ridiculous. I don't trust it for a second. I don't trust it. I don't trust it for nothing. Yeah, Chef of the Devil. Yeah, exactly. Remember all those hockey seasons the Capitals were the best team in hockey and then got dumped in the first round? Yeah, I don't trust it for a second. No, I'll wear the colors. Absolutely. I'm super happy right now, but we are going to get railed in the playoffs if we keep playing like this. Oh, my God. 2001 Mariners vibes. Yep, exactly. Lose day. I'm like, seriously, Kish. I'm like, okay. Oh, great. Look, they won another game, and it wasn't even close. Oh boy. Not good. See, that's how Lions fans always feel, but without the being too good part. Oh, yeah. No, I've been brought up to speed by Brimo about being a Lions fan. Being a Lions fan basically boils down to zero expectations for your team. There's no expectations for them to lose. There's no expectations for them to win. Whatever the outcome of the game is always the same every time. It's just, all right. Oh, they lost. Yeah, all right. Yep. Oh, they won. Oh, yeah. That's good. Do you play fantasy? If so, how are you doing? I have a fantasy league that I play with my family, Aiden, but I don't have the time to dedicate to it. I think I'm 2-7. I did score like 150 points last game when I actually had some time to tend to it. You're a Leafs fan? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought the expectation of being a Lions fan is that you have to like pain. I was going to get into this. Like, I think the expectation is no expectations because Lions fans have been through too many traumatic events. It hurts too much. It hurts too much to care. I think that's what's going on. Like a Williams fan? Hey, do you guys want to hear a good self-burn? Did you guys know that Williams and Ferrari have won the same amount of World Driving Championships since 2009? That hurt a little bit, but I'm all right. I'm all right. Try being a Panthers fan. Yeah, no, Diddy, hard pass. Hard pass on that one. Feels bad, man. Oh, my goodness. I like elephants. That might hurt a Ferrari fan, but that's just a day in the life for us since Hill. Yep. Yeah. Hawks, it's like, oh no, we lost again, Williams. First time. First time. Oh boy. As long as Lewis doesn't win, it's okay. I don't know, man. I'm getting kind of sick of Max too after what he did last race. But you don't do Checo like that, man. Try being a Knicks fan. Ugh. 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 Try being a Seahawks fan? No, I laugh at Seahawks fans. You guys know that I'm like only a Lions fan, like twice removed, right? Oh, you guys are going to love this. For the people that don't know me, you're going to love what football team I like. Oh, you're going to love it. Probably even shut the stream off. No! People leave. No! Gotta go. Bye. Wait, where are you going? Come back! No! Oh, we were talking about space. Damn. Is that pre or post football flat balls or whatever? Yeah, I know, goalie. You'd be curious about balls when I wear that hat. Yeah, it's all right. You know, I wear a Patriots hat. You don't think 6 Super Bowl rings. You think of balls. It's fine. It's okay. It's 2022. You can do that. Admit it, you secretly like the Browns. Nah, I'm good. Space, where? Look. Ready? Booyah! Yeah, there you go, Wicked. All right. So about that Satisfactory update. I played it a little bit yesterday, Yarg. It's pretty cool, dude. It's really good for making sub-assemblies of buildings if you want to make a lot of the same building, like a giant factory. Really good. Yeah, that was oh yeah. Core stage. EJ, let's be honest. You have to almost be sorry for Montreal fans. Sorry for Trying to parse what that means. Viewer count legit plummeting. It's true. Almost, because they're such a bad team. I don't think I can do that, Dan. Well, technically, Krillani, if you were taking our Super Bowl rings and adjusting it for inflation, and we won 6, and you were adjusting for inflation, wouldn't that technically go up? Because that would mean that each Super Bowl ring would be devalued. So you could say you have 8 Super Bowl rings, but they're equivalent to 6. Isn't that how inflation works? Secretly, EJ is covering for the fact that he actually fanatically roots for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Think standardized building segments to build large buildings like Legos. That's literally what I was doing in Satisfactory yesterday, Aqualux. Yeah. Yeah, Franco, that's right. City of Champions. That's right, Rio.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Damn right, boy. JuiceBot, 46-month resub. Any thoughts on the upcoming soccer football World Cup? I hope the U.S. wins. We got Wales up first. Yo, Wales, you going down. Understand? You're going down. You're going down, son. 49ers fan? I do like Garoppolo, Sleepy. I'm not going to lie. And Shanahan's a good coach, but yeah, it's the 49ers. Yeah. It's the 49ers. I'm a freaking... I'm not a 49ers. Yeah, I don't know. 49ers are okay. EJ is a Yankees fan. See that, chat? That's bait. Steelers or Packers? If I have to choose, I'm choosing the Steelers. I don't like the Pack at all. Sorry, Packer. Sorry, Pack fans. Frick you guys. What? I'm a Lions fan by proxy. I have to hate you. It's kind of the point. Rodgers a great quarterback. A little crazy, but he's a fantastic quarterback. But also, I have to hate you. And the Bears. It's just kind of... And the Vikings. It just kind of has to be that way. Sorry. The real question is what college team? UCF, dude. No one here cares that the World Cup is on right now. Yankees fans got destroyed by the Astros again. It's not Green Bay's fault that the Lions are perpetually awful. I never said the Lions weren't. No, they're terrible. Doesn't change the fact that I don't like you. The Lions are garbage, man. They're freaking horrible. EJ is an Eli Manning fan.